friends, welcome back to my channel. It is so good to have you all here today. I am looking so forward to hanging out, spending some time in the studio, working on some really fun fall DIY projects. Hello guys, I'm so excited to have you here. It's going to be a fun day. We have got 3 really cool projects that we're going to work on today, and I do feel like all of these projects are really cool projects that you can incorporate into your fall decor. So go grab your pumpkin spice latte and let's head into the studio and get started with project number 1. Okay, y'all, so I think we'll start things off with a super simple project. I have these candlesticks that I've had for quite some time, but I'm a little bored with them, so I thought it would be fun to just give them a little makeover, a little facelift, if you will. So without further ado, let's just go jump right into that project. Okay, y'all, so we are going to give these candlesticks just a very simple makeover. And y'all, I love that you can use something as simple as paint to completely change a piece. It just elevates it. It gives it a whole brand new look. This is a great way to change up a piece. If you've had something for a while and you're feeling a little bored with it, just paint it. It really changes the whole thing. So for this particular project, I did decide to use some black, and I'm using black chalk paint here. And I do believe this is Waverly chalk paint. And I chose black because I just feel like it adds a little bit of sophistication to the piece. And while I did enjoy the white, I think I'm going to really like the black so much better. The painting technique that I'm using here is just a very simple, messy technique. So you can kind of see that I didn't actually take my time to fully cover the candlestick because I did want a little bit of that white to show through. So I dabbed my brush in the paint and then I kind of daubed some of it off on my paper to kind of give it a little bit more of that dry brush effect. So I'm just going to go ahead and repeat this with all 3 candlesticks. So far, I'm really loving how these are looking. I really like using this dry brush technique because I do like how it allows some of that original white color to show through. So I'm going to go ahead and finish painting these just by dabbing the rest of the top piece of this candlestick, and then we're going to move on to our next step. After letting that first coat of black thoroughly dry, and I only did 1 coat too, by the way. And so after I let it thoroughly dry, I'm going to come in with a very dry brush and a light hand and go back over this with a little bit of white paint. And I'm pretty sure I'm using chalk paint here because I tend to use chalk paint for everything. It's either chalk paint or acrylic craft paint. But I kind of just go over the candlestick very gently and very subtly with this white paint. after I let the white paint dry thoroughly, I am going to come in with a little sanding file here and just do a little bit of sanding around some of the edges and then around some of those fine details like the center part there at the top, that little disc part on there. And I kind of around the curved parts, I'm giving that a little bit of sanding. And then I sand the bottom part too, just to give it a little bit of that rustic flair. I really like how this is turning out. I think it looks really neat to have added a little bit of that white. You can see the difference, how that white just kind of gave it a lot of depth and dimension. So to seal all 3 candlesticks, I'm just going to coat them with some Waverly Clear wax. And I love the way this coats. So y'all look at this. I did one with the wax and one without, and the one on the left has been waxed, and you can kind of see the difference. I love how it just gives the piece such a silky, soft finish. Well, y'all, what do we think? Is it a yay or nay on the black? Did you like the white one, the white version better, or do you like the black version better? I'm actually really liking these done in the black, so I'm looking very forward to going and styling these on my coffee table. So let's go do that and see how they look. Our second project sort of goes right along with our first project. We are going to make some really cute DIY candlesticks using cake pans. So stay with me, let's go do it. So for this one, we're going to need just a few simple supplies. We're going to need a couple of wood rounds or a wood square, some dowels or some spindles that have been cut down. This particular one here, Michael actually turned on the lathe for me. And then we're also going to need some of these darling little cake pans, and I will link these in the description box for y'all. These are going to be what we top our candlesticks with. And then this one is just a banister that I cut in half. So you could use banisters, any kind of decorative dowel. You know, you could just get really creative with the supplies on this. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and just come in with some black chalk paint, and I'm going to give both of these candlesticks a really good heavy coat of black paint because I want really good full coverage on these. After I finish painting the candlesticks, I'm going to repeat that same process to the base, which is what's going to be the base of our candlesticks. So for one of them, I'm going to use a wood round, and for the other one, I'm going to use a wood square. And I did cut these pieces out myself on the scroll saw. However, you can buy these pre-cut at, like, I've seen them at Hobby Lobby back in their like wood pile section, or even Michael's has a lot of these pre-cut pieces of wood that you could easily use for this project. I did also make sure that I paid attention to getting the sides covered and the back. So after the front was completely dry, I did flip it over and paint the backs of each of these pieces. Then I'm going to come in and just give this a little bit of rustic flair by sanding all of the edges, like all the sharp corners, and I'll sand around the bottom and a little bit in that center part where some of the detail on this spindle was, and across the top. And I'm just going to repeat this whole sanding process to both pieces. course, if you know that whole rustic thing isn't quite your style and you don't really like it, you could obviously skip this part. For this piece though, however, I kind of thought it just added a little extra something to these, and I kind of liked the way it gave it a little bit of that rustic feel for just the fall season, and it also kind of warms the piece up a little bit. I do think it will get it'll look a lot sharper too once we get it sealed with the wax. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the base of our candlesticks on both pieces, the square piece and the round piece. Now that I've got all the sanding done, I'm going to come in and seal all of the pieces for these candlesticks with some clear wax. And I am using a wax brush here, and I do make sure that I get a pretty good heavy coat on. Then I let it sit for about 30 minutes and then come in and kind of buff it away with a really soft, dry cloth. I'm not really wiping it off, I'm kind of just buffing it. And by doing that step, it helps enhance that silky soft effect that the wax gives, that wax finish gives to your piece. So you can see here the difference that it makes when you seal a piece with wax and buff it out versus the one that hasn't been sealed yet. I am going to seal it, but I just wanted to show you the difference. I love how it just enhances the piece and gives it that nice silky soft finish. All right, so moving on, we are going to go ahead and trace out the shape of our little cake pan onto a piece of paper. And then I'm going to also, and you want to trace the bottom part of your cake pan. And then I'm going to also trace the wood round and cut them out. And this is what's going to help us find a center on our round pieces, because we need to attach these and we want to make sure that we have center. So to cut, after you've cut the wood round out, fold it in half and then fold that in half again. And then when you open it back up, where the lines meet is dead center on your round piece. I love this little trick. It makes finding center on circles so much easier. So then I'll just go ahead and place this onto my wood round, and then I kind of just poke it with a screw to kind of give it a little divot in there so that I can easily find the center. And then I'm going to come in and drill this, and I am using a drill bit with a countersink bit so that I can get a flush mount on the bottom of this when we put the screw in, because we want it to sit flush and not have it, you know, kind of wobbly. All right, so I did that same trick with the bottom of our candlestick so I can find center on that as well. Now that we have center on each of our pieces, I'm going to go ahead and start this screw. I'm just going to start it just a little ways through so that I have a little screw sticking out to kind of poke into the center of my candlestick. And then I'll just come in and screw this right onto the base, right onto the candlestick. And I do make sure that I get it screwed on really tight so that that screw is sunk all the way down in, so it's very flush across the top. Now we need to find center on our square piece that's going to attach to the candlestick that we made from the banister. And this is a lot easier than finding center on a round piece. So we just take our ruler from corner to corner, make our marks, and then it'll create like an X in the center, and X marks the spot. So right in the middle of that X is where center is. So I'll go ahead and pre-drill this with the countersink bit as well. So I've gone ahead and attached the base to the candlestick on this one, but I just wanted you to see how that countersink bit works so well. It just really makes that screw really sink in so it's flush across the bottom, and it gives our candlesticks a good even surface to stand on. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and find center on our little cake pans, and I just used that same method by cutting the round out and found center, as you can see here. And then I'm going to go ahead and use E6000 to attach them together. So I do think here it's really important to make sure you have center on your cake pan, because it'll just give our candlesticks a lot of extra stability and they won't be as wobbly or like off balance. So I'm going to put a dab of E6000 in the center of our cake pan and then a little across the top of our candlestick. And I do let this sit for about 10 minutes. I'm not sure why. It's just what the directions say to do. It's some kind of chemical reaction, I guess, that just helps that glue set up and gives you a good tight bond. However, I did let these sit overnight just to make sure that that glue was really well set. I love how these turned out, y'all. They are so cute. So these are going to be so fun to style. There's so many different things. You could use them for candles. You could set a cute little pumpkin in each one for the fall season, or you could dress up your pumpkin. And for these ones, I made these a long time ago, and I just drilled a hole in the center, stuck the taper candle in, and then glued all the florals around. And these would be really cute setting atop these candlesticks as well. All right, y'all, I am really loving these little cake pan candlesticks. I think these came out so cute, and I think they are going to be so much fun to style. I think we could do a lot of different things with these. So I think what we're gonna do is run into my sitting room really quick, and I'm gonna show y'all a couple different ways that you could style these cute little DIY candlesticks. So I think I saved the best for the last. So let's just go jump right into project number 3. I think y'all are really going to love this one. This project is a very customized project, and so we're going to need some of these wood rings, and I found these on Amazon. I will link them in the description box for y'all. And then we're going to need some solid wood rounds. Michael did cut these out for me. I do believe he used the bandsaw to do this, but you could also cut these with a jigsaw. Then we're going to need some of these wood slats, which Michael cut out on our table saw, but I have seen these. You can actually purchase these in the trim department at like Home Depot or Lowe's or you know, one of those home improvement type places. All right, y'all. So to stain this, I wanted it to have that weathered barnwood look to it. So I'm going to mix 2 colors together to create that perfect color stain. So I'm using some Waverly antiquing wax and some Waverly black chalk paint. I mix those together, add in some water, and I add the water because I do want to create a stain of sorts. Then I'm going to go ahead and just do a little test swatch here, and I love this color. It's absolutely perfect. So I started out painting all of these with just brushing them on, and then I thought, oh my goodness, why am I doing this? So I dumped all of my stain in this pan so I could just dip them. And then after I started dipping them, I was like, oh my goodness, look what it's going to do to my hands. So I got smart and put some gloves on. All right, so we're just going to repeat this entire process for all of these slats. And I am making 3 different sizes here, y'all. So I have a ton of slats to stain. There's like over 100 of them. So we will just get comfortable and relax as I dip every one of these little slats. Oh, and then after I dip them, I do kind of wipe them just a little bit to kind of dry them and get all the excess off. So here's the pile, the second pile, and the third pile. So let's just sit back and relax as I stain all of these. Whew, that took a minute, y'all. But I finally got all 100 plus of those little slats stained. So now I'm going to go ahead and stain our little wood rings, and I'm also going to stain the wood base using the same exact color, although this time I do kind of have to use the brush to brush it on because they wouldn't. First of all, they were too big to fit in the pan, but I wanted a little bit better coverage on these, and you have a little bit more control with the brush. And on the wood rounds, the solid wood rounds for the bottom pieces, we do want to make sure that we stain the top, the sides, and the bottom. And I am brushing this on pretty liberally, and because our stain, you know, we mixed water in with it, the stain is pretty wet, so I do come in and kind of wipe off some of that excess moisture, and it just kind of helps dries it, and it also gets rid of any of that excess stain that might just want to sit on top of our wood. All right, y'all, now we get to do the fun part and start assembling these. Have y'all figured out yet what we're going to be making with these? It's going to be so much fun, and I think you guys are going to really love this project. So we are going to be making some round crates, so to speak. So I thought it would be fun to just make some round ones rather than the traditional square or rectangular crates. So we're going to start by assembling these, and I am going to be using hot glue to do this, y'all, and I'm using Gorilla Hot Glue, and I feel very confident that this is going to give us a nice, strong, secure hold. However, if you prefer, you could use wood glue or super glue or just any glue of your choice. So I start by adding a dab of glue to one slat, attach it to the wood ring, and then I'm going to use the same wood slat only on its side as a divider here to give me my correct spacing between each one of these. And you can kind of see how I have done that here. So I'm just dab some glue on the top, and I dab some glue on the bottom, and then attach it to the rings. And I'm going to do this all the way around. And this is the smaller of the three sizes, y'all. And I did learn a lot making this very first one. And so I'm going to show you in just a few minutes what I learned and what not to do when you are building yours. Okay, so I got the first one completely finished. Well, not all the way finished, because as you can see here, I was short some slats. Oh, and by the way, y'all, I'm going to have all of the very specific measurements for each and every one of these listed down in the description box for y'all. So on this one, I was short some slats, and I just needed to go cut a few extras. So here's what I learned after creating that very first one. When you are attaching your wood slats, you definitely want to attach them to the solid wood round first. Do not attach them to the wood ring, because this wood ring is very flimsy and it doesn't stay straight. So that's what I learned when I assembled the first one. I started out by attaching the slats to the top of the wood ring first, and then I attached them to the base. And it did not work. The whole thing turned out a little lopsided and a little bit wonky. I was able to kind of fix it and make it look halfway decent, but you will be able to see the difference in them at the end when I show you all the final looks. So this is what I mean by attaching it to the wood base first, and then you attach it to your little slats, attach it to that top ring. So you can see how the top ring wants to tilt downwards. That's what happened to me on the first one. I was attaching it to that top ring, and the top ring just kept tilting down, 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 down. And so by the time I got to the end, my slats were all over the place. I mean, I had some on that first one that were shorter and taller, and it was kind of a little bit of a mess. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, how it wants to bend down. So I attached one of my little slats to one side, and then I flip it over and attach one to the second side. The other thing that you want to make sure you do is that you are getting them really straight. Like, they need to be completely straight up and down. And I did use a level when I measured those.
And then again, for my divider to create my proper spacing, I just use the same slat, only I turn it on its side, and that will give me the correct spacing for each and every one of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue this entire process by hot gluing them all the way around. And I will say on this one, I miscalculated. I did the math a little bit wrong. The math was really hard to figure out on these. So on the medium and the large one, I do have a couple of spaces that are a little bit wider than our spacing that you can see here, but that's okay because it really, in the end, it looks okay and it all works out really well. So we're just going to go ahead and continue attaching all of these slats, and I am really loving this project, y'all. I think it's going to be my favorite from all of our projects today. So this one is definitely working out so much better. It's much more level. Everything is nice and straight up and down. So I'm going to go ahead and continue adding my slats all the way around until we get this. This is the finished product, y'all, and I am absolutely loving these.
Okay, y'all, what do we think of our cute little wooden crates? I really love these. I love how these came out, and it was a little time consuming to make all three of the sizes. However, I think it was well worth it, and I've got some really fun ideas on how we could style these too. I think the sky is the limit. I also really think at Christmas time, it would be really neat to put a Christmas tree in the bigger one. So, but for today, let's just go style this with some fall elements.
For our smaller wood crate, I kind of got the idea that I would like to do a candle in this one. So I had all these fun little bowl fillers or vase fillers that are just very fallish. So I pour a little bit in, and then I place my candle in, and I am just using a battery operated candle, and I will have these linked in the description box for y'all. So after I place the candle in, I just continue filling around it, and I think this just turned out really cute. The medium-sized one, I'm going to create like, this is something you would see like when you go to the pumpkin patch at the front door or something. So I just kind of wanted this to mimic like a welcome to the pumpkin patch type of basket. So I filled the basket with a bunch of raffia, then I tossed in my little pumpkin, and then I'm going to kind of come in to just one side, make it a little bit asymmetrical, and fill in with some of these fun green berries that I have. I think I got these green berries on Amazon. If I can find the link for them, I will try to put that in the description box for y'all. And then to finish it off, I'm just going to add some oak leaves to this, and I love how it turned out. In the larger basket, I stuck in a really cool tree, which I'm so sorry that I didn't get that whole thing filmed for y'all, but I put a tree in there, and then I just kind of filled the base with a whole bunch of fall leaves to create this vignette. I really love it. Y'all are going to have to let me know what you think of this project.
Alrighty, my dear friends, that is going to wrap up our projects for today. I really hope y'all enjoyed these. I sure did. I had so much fun creating them with you, and I hope that this has given y'all some inspiration and some fun ideas for your fall decor. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. We are going to jump into some fun sewing projects and whip up some really cute, darling fall pillows. So y'all come back and see me again next week. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye. Creative, crafty stuff. Take 10. No, that just sounded too weird. What roll are we on here? Lost my whole train of thought. I kind of feel like Vanna White. That's really good. Cheers, y'all.